So welcome everybody to the. Oh, let me do one last thing before I start. Bam! I had to tweet out loud work live. But hey, yeah, what's up, everybody? It's me, Ramsey. So on the other side of my Discord here, and here at our personal Discord, is Jared. Say hi, Jared.
Hey everyone.
Um,
I, It'll be fun.
hmm I figured, I figured since we you expunged at great lengths the last time we were discussing things about Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
And today was actually a Fire Emblem Direct. And I thought it was just gonna be stuff about Fire Emblem Muso, but there is so much more,
Yeah.
so much more that we have to that I had to bring you in. I'm like, look, we have to discuss a few things. 'Cause I know you're a fan. I want to get your opinion. I think you have a little bit more of a better understanding. It's like I can say, oh, I love this, I love that, but I think as a fan, I think you have a little bit more of a better opinion as to what's going on.
And for those listening, my fandom goes to the point that I was playing the translated ROMs um, back in the day. So I was playing Fire Emblem 4, Fire Emblem 3, Thracia 775. I've played through and beaten 6 a couple of times, actually. So I do like the older games, and I do like the Japan only games. I'd say a little bit more than I like the American games.
Well, like I said, as this, I'm gonna have the actual video on mute, but as things pop up on screen, we're gonna discuss things as we go along. So,
Yeah, I think this is kind of a fun way of doing it.
all right, so I'm gonna start the video. Yeah, it's like there's no countdowns because it's actually on mute, so we don't have to worry about us being synchronized. So
Hmm.
as things appear, I'm gonna ask you for your opinions on it. So like you said, I knew you were a big fan of it because when the last time we had the last time we talked, you talked a lot about in great length about when we were discussing when they announced Fire Emblem Muso about all the stuff about Fire Emblem and
Yeah,
your
a
love
lot
for
of
it.
characters that I want to see, and I like the. I said I'm a huge fan of the older characters. I'd like to see the older characters pop up if at all possible.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
And if it sounds of it, it sounds like it's probably going to happen. I'm on the direct as well now, so
Yeah.
we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, the very first thing we're seeing right now is the remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden for the
Yeah,
or
I have a
Gaiden.
lot. Gaiden.
Yeah,
This
Gaiden.
is the second game in the series, and this was originally a Famicom title. It had a lot of problems, in my opinion. It was too ambitious for its time. Is really the biggest problem with it. Um, each mission would essentially begin you at a specific base. You had to get to a specific enemy base and take it out, and the route you took to get there was your own choice. Only two characters you had, which are the two people here, actually, I believe, in this anime sequence. Um, but only those were the only two characters that had like a real set name and real set dialogue. Everyone else you had on your team were usually villagers that then, as you leveled them up, would become a knight or an archer or what have you.
So
And it
it
was very
was
randomized, so it was very problematic sometimes where you get a villager with really great attack, and then you become a mage with no magical power.
so it's essentially Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, except for if you couldn't choose their classes.
Oh,
Kind of more like if anyone who played the new version of XCOM, when you would class rank past your standard recruit, and it would be like sniper, but your guy would have like crap accuracy, and you're like, well, whoop de do. Now I have a sniper who can't hit for crap.
and
Thanks.
you gotta live with it.
Yeah, and you have to live with it, or you got to go train another recruit and hope for the best.
Yeah, and
So
one of the things they said is that they're actually adding in more elements to the game to flesh it out a little bit more. One of the things that they said
well,
on the press
there's so
release.
much you could do with it because again, like I said, there's a whole map that you could explore to level grind or find
Actually,
unique
that is
weapons
one
or
of the
what
new
have you.
things. That is one of the new things they did announce that you can actually explore town to explore dungeons and stuff like that to level up.
Yeah, they had that in the original, but it sounds like this is a lot more robust. I mean, most of the dungeons you went into were like 3 screens. You do 3 battles, and congratulations, you cleared the dungeon. But for some of the level to class upgrade a character, you had to go into certain dungeons. They'd have like a fountain, and you go to the fountain, and then you would hopefully you saved beforehand because again, like I said, if you got that guy with crap magic and he suddenly becomes a mage or crap attack power, but he becomes a cavalier, It's like, well, thanks. But the game had a lot of potential. It was just too ambitious for the Famicom. Was really the biggest problem with it.
Was it for Famicom? I was reading it was for Super,
Yes, it
but
was.
all right.
I think it was Famicom or Famicom Disc.
Well, you know
But
what?
either way,
I'll hold that L because you know more than I do.
yeah, it wasn't the first Super Famicom one was Mystery of the Emblem, which is a part remake of Part One and a continuation of the story. Which they did a remake of that as well, but it never came to the states.
Actually, it did.
No,
The
Dark Dragon did, which is the remake of the first half of that
Oh, that's
story.
right.
The second
So the
half of the
second half.
story,
That's right. Okay, you're right.
the Mystery of the Emblem story, did not come over here, and it was the first one to have a playable player avatar,
Mm. So that's
which
anyone
they
you.
refined a lot more for Awakening, and honestly, it functions a little bit better in Awakening, in my opinion,
Well, there you
because
go.
you can
Yeah,
make the
I'll
characters
hold that
whatever
L
you
because
want
I
it to
see a
be.
Famicom card here now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're remaking this game. They have new artwork. It looks really cool. I'm down for any kind of new Fire Emblem things to be put into. Like I'm down for any kind of new Fire Emblem game, especially like these types of games. Like I want like as much as I like Awakening and stuff like that. I somehow I find myself enjoying the way the older games look and their aesthetic.
I do like the older game. Whoa, wow. The gameplay footage, I'm just looking at it like, yeah, this looks, that looks like that's it. That's the game right there. And you see the map here in the little segment here. They're showing the map. That's basically what it was. You had a little bit more creativity, and the battlefields were a lot larger than they were in the original game, which I really like. And now I'm seeing like the revised graphics and stuff, and I'm like, yes, please. Like,
Yeah,
I
those
could never be because it was just such a pain to kind of like keep. It was so archaic. It was a little too archaic for its own good, mainly because they ended up using so much to get those maps in there. Like I said, my team was made up of like nothings, so it was completely randomized what my team would end up being. And this looks like there's actual characters that'll be on your team now, which is a welcome change in my opinion. The game I would like to see them remake is Part Four. Part Four is my favorite. I'd love to see anime cutscenes. I like to see more intense battles, um, and ideally some alternate endings or some extra characters in there because there's certain weapons and certain characters you. Oh, that's different. The riding around things. Um, there were certain characters and weapons that I thought should join the team but couldn't. And I think if they redid four, I wouldn't mind to see some of those things going in there. Like um, the Sacred Lightning Book, you could not have, but you had a character who could wield it, but you could not earn it. Even if you defeated that character with the character who could use the book, you still couldn't get the Lightning Book, and I thought that was bullcrap.
hmm.
And you could also, I think, have a character who has the ability to use the Master Fire Book, and you also couldn't get that even no matter who you beat that boss with. And I was like, well,
So
those things are
you had all this cool stuff, but you had no way to actually use it.
yeah. When the guy died, he apparently just like threw it away.
Like, yeah, I have no use for it. Well, what's used for us also. So as you can
We could
tell,
use that. No, it's cool. I'm just gonna like tear this, and I'm just gonna take my hold on, take my holy axe, shing, breaks it in half, throws it inside. Now no one can use it.
so like as you can
Um,
tell, they actually did announce they announced some new amiibos to go coincide with the new with the
yeah,
release of Fire Emblem Echoes as they're calling it now.
yeah, which I'm fine with. Um,
And
I'm looking forward
here's a new mainline series game
for the
for the
Switch. Yeah,
Switch. They just announced, and it's coming out
I'm gonna adjust
2018.
my mic. Hold on. Yeah, and honestly, I like the console versions of these games more than I've liked the handheld versions. And now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed. Oh, Fantasy Warriors.
Hmm.
um, and so they're doing their little spiel right here about Warriors, I'll get into this real quick. I liked the console versions of the game. Like I said, I love three, I love four, five's a lot of fun. Two, I wanted to be better, and now it will be. And I actually really liked both Radiance games as well,
Hmm.
even though Radiance 2 kind of pisses me off with the storyline, but that's a discussion for a whole other time. Um, what you end up having with the handheld ones, it just feels so compressed. It feels like it's. I mean, yes, Awakening is very epic in scope, and Fates was so robust they had to make it three freaking 2.5 games.
Yeah.
God, I hate that.
There's rumor
But
too that there was rumor too, but before they announced this, that they were actually going to port Fire Emblem Fates as one game on the Switch. But well, now they said it's
yeah,
going to be
I
a
heard
mainline
that
game.
too. Yeah, but they're gonna do a
I think
mainline
I think that
version.
works out better because I think even they realize that they kind of screwed the pooch on that concept, and we just saw our first confirmed character for Fire Emblem Warriors, Chrome.
Yeah, which I said Crom's totally going to be in there. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to make any comment about the gameplay. This is a Warriors game, Muso game, whatever you want to call it. It looks exactly like that.
And
There's
like I said, it's coming out for the Switch and for the new 3DS, so that's gonna be really cool. So if you can't get the
just like
Switch
they did with
version,
Hyrule
you can
Warriors.
get the new 3DS version of the game as well. So that's good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. But
I'm.
go on.
I think it's a good idea too. Actually, I don't have a new 3DS, and despite the fact that Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors both kind of give me a reason, it does. I'm like, until my current one breaks, I really don't see a huge point for upgrading, or until they have more games for until like Pokemon Generation 8 is on it or something.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can talk. But considering what they did with 7 and how good Generation 7 looks,
Oh yes. They're still gonna milk Generation 7 as much as they can on the
oh yeah,
current
it just
3DS.
came out a few months. It came out 6 months ago or whatever, less
Yeah.
than 6 months ago.
So yeah, so Fire Emblem Warriors looks really cool. It's coming out for the Switch and the 3DS. Like they said, and they did confirm it's coming out this year in the fall.
Yeah,
So it is within within that first launch year. I'm really happy that they actually did that because it's
yeah.
like I knew they were gonna do that because like they need a game like this. They need a game like
They
Fire.
do.
Like, they need like a Warriors game to like kind of like anchor the
They need
release.
something that was like a big, huge action game, and they hadn't. The Switch had no real action game announcements.
Yeah.
Because I know plenty of people. I was gonna say it was because everyone always uses the phrase hardcore game, but I'm like, it's not really though, because I know a lot of hardcore gamers that hate the Muso series. Because like all it is hit X over and over again until everything is dead,
But
and
that's
that
the
is true.
yeah.
But I really enjoy these games because sometimes you just want to hit X over and over again until everything is dead.
Yeah, that's why it's like one of it. Like I love like a lot of people shit on the Fist of the North Star one, but
I
I
was gonna
love it.
bring that up as an example. I love that game too.
I love that one because it's like it's not the it's I just sometimes you just want to see people's head explode.
Yeah, I mean, look, I also liked Gundam Warriors as well.
Gundam Warriors, Hyrule Warriors is very
Heroes
good.
is a lot of fun. Yeah,
Hyrule Warriors is a
it's
lot of
like
fun,
it,
and it's
it,
like I've
I
been
know
hearing a
there's
lot of
totally
great
going on
things
social
about
media while like the trailer for Heroes is going on, and I'm like,
Well,
no, we need to see
this
Muso
is kind
more.
of a longish section, but like I said, because this is like we can condense this in a few sentences.
We
Um,
can.
but the thing is about the Warriors games, it's like even like I can see them using a lot of stuff from from the Dragon Quest Heroes games.
Yeah, and
So
the fun part with something like the Warriors is that not only is it one of the very in fact it might be the only time I can think of, with the exception of DLC and Awakening, where you can actually have those older characters doing stuff with the newer characters.
yeah, well we're about to
And
see
I
an
really,
example right here of older characters doing stuff with newer characters.
yes, I know.
But I'm actually excited for this. We'll get to it when you're done with your
I'm
thought.
not anti-mobile game. I've grown to I've played through several different ones. I've quit on most. I've only really stuck hardcore with Final Fantasy Record Keeper,
Yeah.
but and which I do love. And I was just playing earlier and swearing really loud at the fucking cheap ass motherfucking just lots of swear words about a cheap boss. But this I like this having like the old GBA art style and stuff.
Well, not just
If they're
that. It's
gonna
like
shift into
I like
this,
I kind of want a game like this. Like like I kind of want a strategy game, but a game also that I can put my brain on neutral while I'm doing it. Like I don't think it's gonna be
yeah,
too
it
taxing
looks
on my.
significantly yeah, it looks significantly less complicated, or rather, you're not gonna have to be so stressed about like what moves you're going to make on a map. Oh crap, if I put my mage here, oh damn it, he just got one shot and now I need to reset because I don't want my character to die. This looks like it's a lot more simplistic and a lot more kind of pick up and play.
Yeah, and I kind of like a game like this. I kind of want a strategy game like this where it's like it's more pick up and play, and the more kind of game like this, the better. And one of the cool things that they, and I'm down for this. Like when they announced that this game was coming out for mobile, and they announced that's coming out first on mobile on Android. I'm like, okay, sign my
Also,
ass up.
as a well, yeah, I primarily play Android as well, actually. Um, other also a point when they did the little circle of elements there, they actually showed going back to the Super Nintendo where fire beats wind, wind beats thunder, thunder beats fire, kind of a thing. And I actually really I liked that circle when they changed that again in the GBA ones. Another thing I didn't like is that it was just elemental magic beats holy magic beats black magic beats elemental magic, and I thought that was way too simplistic and not as fun in my opinion. I liked having the to think things out and have different types of mages. Like, okay, let's power up. Let's bring my fire mage for this mission, or let's bring my thunder mage for this mission, or what have you. And I like the fact that that's being brought back. And this is a mobile game because we're at a point where we can have things be more complicated in a mobile game than say on the old GBA. Because in the GBA they were more for we want to make 30 levels in Fire Emblem rather than a really complex circle of elements, circle of weapons kind of thing.
And not just that, it's like if things don't work, we can like you can tell us like they can work on it. If some
Mm-hmm.
aspects don't work, they're gonna patch it out and they're gonna actually find ways to actually make things lot more robust for more hardcore Fire Emblem fans as well.
Yeah, which also makes it fun because then you know that okay, this didn't work out so well, but hey, they just did a major update to balance out the power of these weapons or the accuracy of these other weapons
Or
or
it'd be like,
whatever.
look, we're completely scrapping this aspect of the game and we're inserting this stuff from the other games. So let's see how this works.
Hmm. Plus, with the updates, you could get a bunch of different characters from the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Ooh,
always a lot of fun.
Tharja.
Which is one of the things, like I said, when I was talking about Record Keeper earlier. One of the things I love is the fact that I can go through classic story missions from the games, but I can you can have Cecil teamed up with um, Terra, teamed up with Reno, teamed up with uh, Balthier, teamed up with Ramza.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, all right, let's do this.
Yep.
You have those kind of opportunities, which I really like.
Yeah. So one of the things that one of the few one of so here's some of the new information about this game. It's actually coming out worldwide on February 2nd. It is coming out February 2nd, and it's gonna be Android first. No news on an iOS version just yet, which is weird because like they haven't even shown off. Super Mario Run is not even on the Android yet.
Yeah, you'd think it'd all be iOS first, and then you'd go on to.
And I hate to be that guy, but I kind of like that trade off.
Hmm.
Because it's like I would rather play. No offense to the Mario fans, but I would rather play this than Mario Runner.
Yeah, I don't care about Mario Runner at all.
And one of the things that they did announce for as a way to promote the game is that they have a fan vote right now going on, and you can vote for your favorite Fire Emblem character to be in the game. That's gonna appear first in a future update. I believe they said it's gonna come out in May. This update.
I Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump on that and have the chance. And
And I can tell you this right now, Twitter is on fire. They want Lynn.
yes, my girl,
I'm with
her
them too.
fun.
I liked her. I
Arguably,
really liked her in the. I
arguably
really
my
liked her in
first.
GBA games.
Yeah, well, yeah, because she's in. Till she's only one and what
Yeah.
have you. But might be my first Fire Emblem waifu. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think she may have been. Um, I don't really. Well, I did like what's her face from part one, but part one was so archaic at the time that I think I didn't grow my like fancy for specific characters until we I got further along in the more advanced versions of the games that looked nicer. But when playing that, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's just like fun and energetic, and she's a really kick-ass, like basically a souped-up Myrmidon,
Hmm.
and you can't go wrong with a souped-up Myrmidon.
And they did say like
If
yeah, it
any of
had.
you seen my Twitter, you can see my little fan art image of the various Myrmidons.
Mm.
So I'm a Myrmidon fan.
So they did say too. It's like yeah, it's gonna have paid content, but you can also get the content as well from from my.Nintendo.
Hmm.
So it's like you can get like coins, and you can actually use those coins to use in the game. So it's like that's actually pretty good. So it's like
Damn it! I
you
have to
you have to
ban
pay.
Mitomo again so I can earn coins.
Yeah, but that's cool. It's like that's one of the things I like about Nintendo. It's like, yeah, by the way, it's like you can buy it, but you can also earn it in different ways as well.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I stuck with Record Keeper is that if your characters are leveled high enough, you can unlock those specific weapons or that specific well not the weapons so much, but specific upgrade items and things like that can be acquired via being able to kill specific pain in the butt bosses.
Hmm.
And I like that because I'm like, hey, that's cool. That means I don't have to go and like dump a bunch of money into the game if I don't want to. And if I can't get that specific item, well then then either I dump the money or I go and say, whatever, I can live without it. And I like that. But I also
And
like the fact that again that crossover kind of thing I really love because it's just always fun to have a game like that every once in a while. Like I said, it's the same thing that kind of excites me about Warriors as well.
yeah, the thing is like as long as you don't take away, as long as you don't take away the main mechanics of a Fire Emblem game, I'm
Mm-hmm.
down with it. I'm down. I'm down with whatever you do with a Fire Emblem game. That's why it's like
Yep.
that's why I was excited when they announced the Fire Emblem Muso because it makes perfect sense for them to do that kind of gameplay for it. And doing this
Yeah.
mobile game, it doesn't really deviate that much at all from the actual gameplay itself.
Yeah.
And
Just
it
smaller
celebrates
maps.
the universe that of Fire Emblem. And I hope that like for example, players that got into a franchise from like Awakening and Fates, they see these older characters and they want to get into the older games as well.
Yeah. I agree.
And they're taking that very crucial first step by re-releasing Gaiden onto or as they're calling it now, Echoes on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really happy that they're doing that. They're positioning themselves to actually make this into like their big franchise again.
And the thing is, we don't know what the Switch's virtual console is going to look like, but they could potentially, bring out a huge chunk of the franchise. You know, just in terms of virtual console. Okay, so you already have 7, 8, 9, 10, like everything from 7 onward has already had a U.S. release, with the exception of the remake of Mystery of the Emblem. And what they could do with this at this point is put a Dark Dragon on there. Echoes, obviously, could either have. I mean, it's going to be on 3DS or whatever, but you can if they make Dark Dragon available again, either as a some form of download or what have you, Echoes. Then all they'd have to do is bring over 3, 4, and 5 eventually,
Yeah.
and then we'd have and 6, and but you'd have a fair chunk of the franchise right there. And honestly, I think there's enough love for Roy to get 6 over here. It's just that it's a GBA game, and they're not going to want to just go and you know uh, re-release a GBA game for
Well,
Virtual Console.
it's not
But
above them. They actually been doing that on the Wii U.
no, I mean I know GBA, but I mean like they'd have to translate it all
Oh,
over and make
okay,
it fresh.
okay.
That's what I mean. They're not going to do that for Virtual Console.
Oh. Well, who knows? Really? I
Um,
mean, they would have to do
that's
this.
true.
They would have to do the same things as well with the other games that have not been either remade or translated in English just
Yeah,
yet.
the same thing with me wanting the Mystery of the Emblem remake. I want that. That would require an entire translation team to go and translate that game. And I was so disappointed when it didn't come over, and they decided, no, we're just going to focus on Awakening. I'm like, and yeah, it's nice that Awakening has ties to the original game. That's all cute and all, but we're missing the second half of Marth's story in a proper Western release.
Yeah, and it would be
It
nice to
would be
have it.
nice.
And that was actually one of the first Fire Emblem. And actually, it's funny thing is, it looked like they were poised to release it because it had a lot of elements that would have made things a lot easier than that release of Secret of Emblems.
Hmm.
They had a lot of things that felicitate the gameplay. That was actually the very first game to actually do no permadeaths.
Yeah.
That version, I mean, not the one that came out on the Famicom. No, the Super Famicom.
No, I know the remake.
The remake one actually was the very first one to actually implement the no permadeath thing, where it's like if you want to just casually go
And
through
if
the
you wanted
game,
to play classic mode, you could turn it off,
yeah,
just like in the later games too.
yeah.
And I like that. It allows certain players who don't want that anxiety that's gone.
Well, not just that. It's like for
Like
example, if you want to
players like
like
me
get the
love that to be the challenge.
like for me, I look at it this way. when I played Fire Emblem Awakening for the first time, like I didn't really
Mhm.
think of myself as a good strategy player, and I want to see how the strategy worked. So I wanted to just
Yeah,
do a first playthrough, I don't, like where no consequences, but no real consequences,
yeah.
and then play on a higher difficulty, and then play it with like the permadeath, so I could actually have that stuff like more like the strategy in the back of my brain.
And I will give points to this. It also lets you know, oh, I like this character class, or I like, I like to play this style. Like if you go for my style in a lot of the games, especially the GBA ones, I'm built for speed. If someone can get a horse, they're getting their horse.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Cavaliers get a lot of bonus. The Nomad class, the Troubadours, those all get a lot of love from me for the main fact that it's like, well, I like my speed. I'm a cavalry person, and what the game really kind of allows for is that you can play that way if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
The drawback is when you get those desert missions and stuff like that, and there's always those freaking desert
Oh yeah,
missions.
there is.
Suddenly, my team can't move for crap, and it makes the mission a lot harder, especially in six, when a lot of the missions are, oh, if you don't beat this boss under X amount of terms, you won't get the legendary weapon,
Yeah,
and that can kind of
for me,
make you
my gameplay
drop a little
style
bit
is
about
more along the
balance.
lines of like I want to overpower the enemy by like just like if I look at them, they're dead. That's my gameplay style. So it's like, so while
So
you're
heavy
some
knights,
speed, mine's more on power,
yeah.
like just raw, unadulterated power. It's weird because it's like that's how I play like a game like Final Fantasy Tactics, where like okay, oh my god, just uber powerful. You can like just look
My
at you
my
and the
tactics team is also built around speed as well.
Jesus
I'm like, you
Christ.
know what? I'm gonna get like 3 turns before you get 1 turn because screw you, pal. I've
Yeah.
built everyone up to be a ninja.
No, but it's more along the lines of yeah, move closer to me because like the minute that it's my turn, bam, right in the face.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the they actually make a comment about that strategy in Path of Radiance, where God, I can't remember the name of the characters off the top of my head right now, but there's a sniper and his friend is a heavy knight, and all the knights are heavy knights. Um, and they make a comment saying like, "Oh, our strategy is thunder and lightning," and it's like, what? It's just like, yeah, I'm the loud clang, I'm the thunder, and my buddy here stands behind me and rains lightning down on the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically saying, hey, newbie players, put your heavy knight right behind them, put the sniper, and let the sniper,
Do his thing.
pop guys with arrows without taking any damage.
Yeah.
And it is a really good strategy to do if you're a person like me who uses heavy knights. If you're not a person like me who uses, if you're a person like me who doesn't use heavy knights, that is, then it becomes a point of saying like, well, I like my archers, but you know what I really like? My cavaliers, so I can just get up in someone's face real fast and just run them down with my lance.
All right. So, is there any other thoughts as this presentation is repeating that you want to like bring up?
Not really, but I'm kind of feeling more confident about things in terms of Fire Emblem because with how Fates was handled, both in terms of the translation issues that a lot of people had, but also in addition to that, just the two games thing and the way that Nintendo's whoever was doing the promotions for that game were not particularly friendly to criticism. It's really nice to see. It looks like they've learned a lesson from those experiences and they're trying to make
And not
things
just that, it's like
better for all of us.
despite that, the people on the outside, like I think I was more concerned about people like we the people that are gonna the people that are gonna pick up those who are more critical. I understand their criticism, but I was more worried about how the general public was going to respond to some of these changes and some of these things, and they didn't seem to really mind. And that's why we have these. That's why they kind of like learn. They kind of learn from their lesson from those games, from the success of those
Mm-hmm.
games. So I kind of see like
Yeah,
that's why I always been kind of adamant about supporting the game, despite so many bad ideas, because I want them to come. I want them to come fresh from another direction like they are right now. I know. Like I said, like you have your opinions on Fire Emblem Fates. That's that's
I'm
perfectly
not
fine
alone in my
because
opinions, by the way. Don't go making it sound like I'm this weird
no.
outlier.
Well, no,
There's a
it's just
lot of
like
us.
a lot of people do actually. But at the same time, too, I think as a fan, you have a you as a fan. I think if you're not really if you don't really see if you can't really call out something that's bad, then I wouldn't call. And you're just consuming it, then you can't. I don't want to say you're not a true fan, but it's like one of those things where it's like I don't think you understand like the gravity of like or understand like what kind of things what you really want from the franchise.
I vote with my wallet. If a game is bad, I'm not going to buy it, even if it's part of a franchise I love. But the same thing goes for a movie or a comic book.
Yeah,
I'm an X Men person, but X Men's gone to crap again. So guess who's not reading or supporting the X Men in any sort of way?
me neither.
Me. Hopefully they fix the X Men. It'd be nice. They usually do. They've been around for like 50 plus years, and eventually it'll get fixed. And you look as a person who always liked Spider Man, it's the same kind of story. With DCU, I read some of the Rebirth stuff. I just was at a point in my life where I just was not in the mood for hero stuff, and I
Yeah.
do support. I love the DC TV series,
Uh huh.
and I keep expanding. I need to actually. I was planning on starting going to Legends of Tomorrow very soon, but I'm going to
Oh,
finish
you're
up
gonna love
Flash
that.
season two.
You're gonna love that.
I'm near the end of Flash season two, and I'm freaking God. That Flash is my favorite. And I realize that like Legends of Tomorrow is just going to be Flash, but like to the next power.
Yes.
It's just like how over the top and insane can we
Well,
make
not just
things?
that.
And
It's like
like
it's more along the
I've
lines
seen
of
the
like
cast of
like
characters for Legends, and I'm like, yes, let's do
well,
this.
it's more along the lines too with Legend with Arrow. It was kind of like a litmus test of seeing like if people can take a series with superheroes, but also see if they can like handle it as well. Like they take the comic book aspects,
Yeah,
and the Flash just kind of went into it like, okay, here's the drama when it still has like the comic book stuff, and it's like, okay, here's Legends of Tomorrow, none of that drama, and here's all the comic book stuff.
yeah. And well, the reason I like Flash more than Arrow is that the drama level is dropped significantly, and Barry's just a more fun guy to follow around than Oliver, who's always moping.
Oh,
Um, and I need to go through season four. It is on Netflix, and I just
don't.
the way that season three kind of concluded, it just put me in a point of I'm like, Todd, do I have to? Do I really have to do
Oh, I
this?
don't. I went through that season. I'm like, oh god, damn it! I told you one of the big
I
things.
feel that when I go through that, it's just going to be us like Ramses. I need to talk with you online. I don't care if we're doing it as a stream or I just spend the next 25 minutes to an hour bitching to you about season four.
I don't mind. I'll be like, I'm just gonna like nod my head on the other side. Like, yes, I totally agree. I totally agree because that.
Flashes all the Earth 2 stuff, and Jay Garrick shows up, and Zoom shows up, and Killer Frost shows up, and et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I'm loving it. Um, and and I'm like, man, and I just know that like going through Arrow is just going to be like, let's take on some other bank robber. That'll be fun.
No, it's more along the lines of like, well, guess what?
Oh no, it's
CW
God,
drama.
who's the villain? Is that the name of
Damien Dark.
God, Damien Dark? That's right, it's the villain of that one. I'm like, okay, that's a choice.
All right, but no. So getting back to Fire Emblem, like going
Okay,
back to what we were saying, it's like
sorry, folks.
getting back to what we were saying, I think it's good to be hypercritical of a franchise you love, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a good way of saying like you want this is what you want from your franchise. You don't want
Yeah.
anything but this, and I
And
think
look, I'll admit right here, if they said, "Oh, we are doing a Switch version of Fates Complete," or we're going to do a Wii U, I don't own a Wii U, but a PC version of it or whatever,
yeah,
I would grab Fates Complete.
yeah.
I'd go, you know what? It's a wonderful game. That's all I asked of you guys. Here's my money.
And
I
you
may
think
have some issues with your translation, but that's fine. I can get through that. If you put a Japanese track, and be nicer. But yeah, whatever.
I
I can deal with it. Look, I can deal with the mediocre to bad voice acting in Fire Emblem Awakening. I can deal with the mediocre to bad voice acting in Fire Emblem Fates.
yeah. But I was gonna say one of the things about even like I'll even outright say it like if it's like if it's like if I can get the complete the whole shebang of Fire Emblem Fates for like 40, I'll buy it.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Like if it like
I
it's
agree.
that because that's at least palatable to actually get all three chapters. Fine, I'll buy it at 40. But if you can
Yeah,
provide to me with like with like all these new things and all the DLC on like the Switch, even better.
even better. Yes, but even yeah, like I said, if it's just this, it's like oh, you don't get into DLC, but it's Conquest, it's Birthright, and it's Revelation, all in one package. I'd be like, cool, thank you. Here's my money.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's on the 3DS. Look, I'll put it this way:
Hell,
if
even
it was on
even
the new
if even if
3DS,
go on.
if they made it a new 3DS title, that plus Warriors, plus Hyrule Warriors, plus Xenoblade Chronicles. Okay, fine. You have four games. Here's my money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave my house for a while,
Yeah, and
and
the
then
thing.
maybe I'll cannibalize my 3DS so I can run on streaming as well.
Oh, well, you come
If
to me
if I
later.
got if I got a new, I would consider doing that to my old.
Well, actually,
or
no. You
what?
can only do it with your new one.
Oh, you can only do it for the new one.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I'll
then
explain. I'll explain.
that
I'll explain
kind of makes sense.
another time
Yeah.
what I theorize is going on with my 3DS and
Mhm.
why it's able to do that. But that's for another discussion for another time. I kind of want to wrap things up so you can do your own stuff
Yeah,
as
that's an
well.
off-air discussion.
But well, so, but like I said, it's like, Fire Emblem, like, I think, like, you have to be hypercritical of things and stuff like that. And I understand too, people are mad about, like, oh, why aren't you doing the same kind of love for Zelda and stuff like that. Here's the thing. Let me get to my last point.
Mhm.
My last point is this: like, people are kind of like pissed off. I've seen on the internet that like, why didn't you do this? Why don't you show this kind of unanimous love to like a franchise like Metroid? And Nintendo is in the market of actually they don't want to oversaturate the market with like the same kind of games.
Yeah.
And right now it seems like that niche of where Metroid would be is filled with like games like Splatoon and also games like Kid Icarus Uprising. So there's already two games that kind of fit into that same kind of like mold that they're kind of already working on. And with
Mhm.
Splatoon, well, they already worked on with Kid Icarus and the original Splatoon, but like now we're expanding a lot into that, like, first person. Well, it's not even first person; it's third person, but it's a shooter. And
Mhm.
and I know people are like, oh, it's a different kind of shooter. Not in Nintendo's eyes. And I think like
Yeah.
we have to look at it this way: any kind of innovations they're looking at right now for a game like Splatoon, it's gonna transfer to a better Metroid game in the future. And the thing is, for a while, the reason why they're focusing so much, and in my opinion, why they're focusing so much on Fire Emblem and why they're actually doing all the right decisions with it, is for a while they kind of didn't have kind of like this strategy RPG kind of like thing, to like hold them over. It was always
Yeah.
I had RPGs like Xenoblade Chronicles that was great, but that was kind of more like MMO ish kind of gameplay where it's like you can set your commands, but you're not really taking really active control in the game.
Mhm.
But it had like RPG JRPG elements to it, and and since they haven't released like another Golden Sun or stuff like that, like any kind of like real like JRPG ish type game, Nintendo can kill two birds with one stone and actually release this game as like their like JRPG, and also that fills in that void that a game like Advance Wars had. That's the void that's like, if
Yeah.
you want to talk about a franchise that got completely forgotten, let's talk.
No kidding.
You
God, I love that.
give me a Mountain Dew and a monster, and I can give you the entire like my entire spiel about why where the fuck did everything go wrong with Advance Wars. But
Yeah.
regardless,
Sad to lose
looking
Advance
at it
Wars.
now, I would rather
Mhm.
have them. I'm actually kind of glad that they're now focusing on Fire Emblem with that focus of like having that strategy niche and the JRPG niche in it.
Yeah. And again, to the Metroid people, what the Metroid people really want, or at least the group that I talk to, wants a new 2D one, and you can tell because based just on the sheer amount of indie Metroidvania style games, people kind of miss that, or the huge amount of popularity for another Metroid 2 remake. Um, and AM2R is like everyone. If dude, go if you can find it on the internets because it is on the internets. Play AM2R. It's really really fun. Um,
Yeah, I
but
played a little
the
bit of
thing
it on
is,
stream, so.
something like that would be really cool. And Nintendo doesn't divide it between the Prime and the 2D series like the way that like most fans do. They think of it as just one big blob.
Mm-hmm.
The blob is action shooter. It's like right, but they're different kinds of action shooters.
Yeah.
Guys, please. It's just like we have our action shooter. I'm like, no, but I mean, like, it's kind of how it is. But
It's infuriating. I understand. It's totally
yeah, it is
infuriating.
very, and it's because Nintendo is very cautious, and I respect Nintendo for being cautious because they're not going to make, or they attempt not to make stupid decisions.
And that's the thing. Like right now, it seems like they learned a lot from like, and like they did do a lot of stupid decisions with Fire Emblem Fates, and they learned a
Yeah,
lot from it. Even though it did
yeah,
sell a lot for them in the United States and in Japan, it just like you can tell that there was also a lot of backlash to it. It got a lot of new
There was a
fans to the
ton.
franchise, but it also like and I think I want to say a lot of those sales that from for those games came from new people buying this game who saw
People
this.
who heard really good things about Awakening and then were like, well, I can't find a copy of Awakening because, yeah, it's really hard to find a copy of Awakening. So I'll just grab a copy of Fates.
So it's like you have people like that already. So you already have that already kind of pre-installed. So um wow, we're already
So I
repeating
would
one more
point
time.
out you can get Awakening on digital.
Yeah, that's why I got mine on like day zero.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's the easiest way to get that game. Like it's nice having a box, but I realize one of the reasons I like having boxes is for that potential of, oh, maybe I could get this signed at some point. And I realize there's no one. I've met voice actors from Fire Emblem Awakening. I'm much happier if it being digital.
mhm.
I mean,
but
they're good people. Don't get me wrong, folks. They're good people, but the voice acting in that game is right
all right,
cute.
getting back on point here. But yeah, the point is like Nintendo's not that stupid. We understand that. It's just like right now it's like they kind of learned their lessons from like the set from the '80s and also from the '90s, and even a bit today where it's like you could see that like a game like for example a game like Titanfall 2. That game has so
Mm-hmm.
much potential. That game is that game is amazing to play, but yet it got dwarfed by every other first person shooter on the market right now.
Yeah,
So on launch, it got crushed, and that's very disappointing because you can tell the guys at Respawn they put their heart and soul into that game,
most
and it's
people
like, and they don't want a
don't
situation
exactly
like that
about some
where a
things.
franchise like they put all this effort into like Metroid, only for it to
Mm-hmm.
be crushed by like another game that they by even by their own within their own system.
Yeah,
So like I said, so for those people that are kind of complaining about that kind of thing, I understand, but like right now, I think too, it's good that this is like the way they're handling Fire Emblem right now should be how we should be hopeful for like stuff like Metroid in the future, where it's like they completely re-innovated what they kind of like took a step back and they saw what was completely wrong with the last game or last couple of games, and they kind of like went into it like a new direction. It might take them a while, but like I kind of I hope that like the help this experiment with Fire Emblem does does do them good. So that way it's like that. So not only just fire games like Fire Emblem, but like any other game within like their franchises, like Metroid or Advance Wars or anything like that can get like another win on another time because they learned their
yeah.
lessons from like the previous games and also from other games that they kind of like that use the same kind of like elements and they can apply it to actually making a better game.
And then the thing is here, if you really think about it, if Fire Emblem does well on Android, why would you not just make an Advance Wars game like that too?
I'd
You
totally
get
be down.
generals from all the different games show up and just be like, "Hey, where are all the generals?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this."
Mm-hmm. I
Each
totally
one
agree.
have their own special skills and stuff, and you have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I'm
Or
totally
make a
down.
bunch of brand new characters. I don't care if they do Advance Wars, 3 or whatever they end up calling it, Advance Wars Mobile Ops or something. I really the name wouldn't matter to me as much as just being able to do that and capture the bases and
Yeah. Well, the
do
thing
the
is,
fun
what we're seeing with Heroes
commander
is like
type
it's
symbols, commanders,
what
the
we're
commander
seeing
powers.
what we're seeing with Fire Emblem Heroes. It's like it's very simplified. All their stuff, very
Oh yeah,
simplified. So like if they do eventually do like a Dance Wars type ish game for mobile, it's gonna be a very simplified version of whatever they're doing.
I'd be fine with that though.
Yeah. And like I said, that's why I first saw Fire Emblem Heroes. Like I'm totally down with this. I'm totally down with how it looks and everything.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Well, again, I've talked on various streams and even the podcast, we had the podcast about my love hate relationship with Super Robot Wars. But one of the biggest problems in the later games is that the missions don't freaking end. And it's just like, oh, cool, I killed all the enemies. Another wave of enemies shows up. Oh, come on. Can I get a break? Can I get a breather? It's just another wave and another wave and another wave. And Advance Wars has some missions that are like that too, where you're just like, oh, for God's sake, can't I just get a breather?
Yeah.
And being in the shorter format, you'll get those breathers, and that'll make life so much more better.
Yeah. So like I said, right now with Fire Emblem, with everything that's going on with Fire Emblem, I'm really happy with the position I'm really happy with what they're doing with the franchise right now.
Yes,
Um,
agreed.
they're taking all the right steps after it seems like after all the misfires with Fire Emblem Fates.
Hmm.
So it seems like they did learn a lot of their lessons from that last game, and I do sincerely hope that I am very hopeful for like this for Echoes for being successful, and I hope
I'm
for
excited about Echoes.
uh
Honestly, like I said, I liked Gaiden, but Gaiden really needed. It was too ambitious for its time. Now we're at a point when Dark Dragon came out, I was like, oh man, I can't wait for them to do Gaiden next because Gaiden so would benefit from a remake. And it took them a bit of a decade to get to it, but they got to it, and I'm super excited. And then if freaking Muso, of course, man.
yeah Muso, you can't go wrong with Muso games, and then
Yeah,
with well they announced a new mainline console game that's really cool, and well Fire Emblem Heroes is they got they got my virtual money and all that stuff. So you know what,
yeah.
things are looking up.
Is there a release date? I didn't notice when I was watching
Oh
the
yeah,
video. Is
there
there
is
a
a
release
release
date?
date. You can pre-register tomorrow on January 19th, and it will be
Nice.
available worldwide on February 2nd.
Okay, cool. Gotta
Fire Emblem Echoes comes on
pre-read for that
May
tomorrow.
19th.
Oh yay! Just a little bit
And
after
then
mine.
also, and then on that same day, you're gonna get two amiibos with it. Fire Emblem Warriors is scheduled for this fall. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be worldwide. And they said in 2018 we're gonna get that new Fire Emblem game, the new console game.
Yeah, that'll be fun to
So
play around into.
any final thoughts before I switch over before I close the stream for a little bit and do my own thing and I let you go?
Uh, no, I think I think they covered it pretty well.
Yeah,
And I'm excited.
you cut off there.
And I was gonna say that I'm very excited, and you know, it's rare that they do a let's focus on a specific franchise stream like this
Well,
or
they
direct.
do sometimes, but usually it's for like one game. And when they first set up
Yeah, they've done Zelda ones and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they haven't done it, but this is not the game you'd normally think of to be the one where they would do that.
well, not just that. This is the first time they actually they have everything within its own meta series.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't see like a Mario Direct, and they're not talking about it's usually focused on like the newest Mario game or the newest Zelda game. Here it's like here's an
Hmm.
entire like Direct exclusively just about like the franchise as a whole, and I really appreciate that. So like I said, yeah, it's really good that they did this, and like I'm really hopeful for the future of Fire Emblem, and let's hope for the best.
Yep.
Alrighty then, I'll let you go then, my good man.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's almost 10.
yeah, that's why it's almost 10. I have dinner right here. I kind of want to like devour this really quick and then get started with a few things here on my own personal here. Like I think I'm gonna play some Monster Hunter Generations. But I figured I also ended right here too, so we can actually have an archive of just us talking. That way it's not like mixed up as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Um, I got a slight headache and my stomach's bothering me.
Yeah, there you go.
It was some old cake that I was eating, and like that's weird. It tastes like there's like wasabi or something in here, and I spit it out, and I was like, well, maybe my brain's just playing. I took another bite, and like I just taste this like weird sourness. I'm like, no, this is going bad. I've just eaten tainted food.
Ooh.
But I didn't swallow anything, but it was in my mouth, and I literally like rinsed my mouth out and then poured myself some vodka because like alcohol kills bacteria. So I'm hoping there won't be any major, effects from having tasted some really nasty bacteria in my mouth. I haven't, like I said, I'm not throwing up, but I just have a headache and my stomach's starting to bother me more and more as time passes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll let you do your Monster Hunter stream.
Alrighty then.
Um, Not sure if I'll be able to do anything tomorrow. Um,
If anything, I'll
but
take.
not just my health is an issue, but then also Claudine is coming over to do the podcast with Vicky on Oticon Vegas.
Well, even then, I'll take care of things. You know me. It's like I'll
Yeah,
usually have something up.
yeah. Well, I'll let you know because I might be sequestering myself in the other room, and if I do, I'll bring my laptop and then I can just make sure to grab my headset and I can join in on whatever you're doing.
Alrighty then.
Just chat it up or something. So
Alrighty then. So okay, that's really cool. We'll talk later if that's the case. Then Jared, good talking to you. I will be back either momentarily or tomorrow. Depends on like it depends how lazy I am. But
well, I'm gonna be shutting down my computer and probably just heading to the bedroom to
yeah.
lay down.
So thanks a lot for coming by. Thanks for like sponging your knowledge of Fire Emblem, and thank you for
Oh, I
like
could go on for hours, you know.
yeah. Well, that's why I wanted you. That's why I wanted you to come. That's why I really needed you to do this with me because you're the perfect person for this. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did this with me. So,
Hmm.
so with that said, I am Ramsey. That is Jared, and I am saying see you all next stream soonish. So bye.
Yeah.